Welcome back to the Deep Dive. This is where we take the research you send us, wade through it all, and basically give you the ultimate knowledge shortcut. Today, we're diving deep into the world of sales management. High-stakes stuff. We're focusing specifically on how organizations handle two really constant pressure points: sudden financial crises, emergency budget cuts, and then the strategic side, optimizing sales territories. Our mission today is to analyze these sources around, well, a single, really intense dilemma, and then look at the long-term solution that could actually prevent it. So the immediate crisis involves a manager, Michiko Takanaga. She gets hit, seemingly out of nowhere, with a mandate. Cut $12 million from the budget, non-negotiable. And get this, her division wasn't even failing. They were pulling in $85 million in revenue against a, $76 million budget? But finance dropped the hammer anyway. That $12 million cut is just devastating because her entire payroll was only $18 million.
Yeah, and what's really striking about this case study is how fast Takanaga understood the scale of the problem. That cut wasn't going to come from paper clips or travel budgets. It was always going to be about people because the total cost of an employee is so much higher than just base salary.
Right, that totally changes the math on letting someone go, doesn't it? The sources show the benefits, taxes, insurance. It adds a massive 49% overhead on top of payroll. That's, 32% for benefits, another 17% for FICA, workers' comp, all that stuff.
Almost half again, exactly. So to hit that $12 million target, she might only need to cut, say, around $8 million in base salaries on paper. The total package cost gets her there quickly, so Takanaga faced that classic, just awful choice: start mass layoffs to hit the number, or try and sell this incredibly difficult, morale-killing package of pay cuts across the board.
Okay, wait a second. If they're bringing in $85 million revenue, which sounds pretty successful, why isn't Takanaga pushing back harder on that $12 million? Are the sources basically saying that, in many companies, the sales manager just has to take it when finance says cut?
Pretty much. The sources frame the scenario as the cost of not having optimized your processes beforehand. The corporation sees $85 million revenue, sure, but then they see an $18 million payroll, plus, like you said, another $9 million in associated costs. And they just assume inefficiency, bloat. Takanaga's crisis wasn't really caused by the market tanking. It was caused by a lack of strategic foresight, you could say. If her department had been demonstrably running super lean, super efficient, maybe that $12 million cut gets negotiated down. 5 or 6 million, perhaps. But when management finds what looks like low-hanging fruit, unoptimized structures, they grab it.
Ah, okay. So the key insight then is that Takanaga has to immediately use the very tool that could have helped her avoid this, or at least lessen it. Effective sales territory design. It's the foundation for efficiency, crisis, or no crisis.
Exactly. And let's unpack that foundation, because the definition of a territory trips people up sometimes. You should think of a sales territory less as, a patch of land on a map, and more as a defined group of customers, current ones, potential ones, and the rep is strategically responsible for them. Crucially, the market is always measured by people and their buying power, not just square miles.
That difference, customers versus geography, seems absolutely vital. And when you design territories that way around customers and potential, the organization gets 6 major benefits almost right away. First one's kind of obvious: enhanced customer coverage. If a territory is huge, reps just can't cover it all, right? They miss important customers. Good design forces efficiency.
Makes sense. And the second benefit tackles one of those hidden budget killers, the kind that probably got Takanaga into trouble: reduced costs. When territories are drawn badly, reps waste time crisscrossing all over the place. Unnecessary driving. Optimized territories cut down travel time, less mileage, less fuel, huge savings on car expenses the company has to cover.
Yeah, those fleet costs add up fast. Okay, benefit 3 is huge for the sales team themselves. Equitable rewards.
Yeah.
I mean, if one rep gets a territory packed with easy wins just by luck, and another gets stuck with a tough, sprawling rural area, you're not rewarding skill, you're rewarding the map draw. Fair territory design means you reward ability, effort. You compare performance against a rational quota or potential.
Which sets up the fourth benefit perfectly: aids evaluation. If territories are basically equal in potential and the workload needed, then management finally has a fair way to compare reps. Apples to apples. You can tell if someone's underperforming because of them or because the territory itself is just, impossible.
Yeah, right. Okay, fifth, and this was a bit counterintuitive. Good design actually increases total sales. You'd think splitting territories might reduce sales for the star reps, but the sources say if you have some territories that are too big and just being skimmed and others too small, redesigning them to be balanced boosts total revenue. The sales you might lose from the old big territories are more than made up for by gains in the new, smaller ones that finally get proper intensive coverage.
It's about unlocking that previously ignored potential. And that leads to the final one, number 6. Increases morale and reduces turnover. Fair evaluation, fair rewards. It leads to happier, more productive salespeople. Plain and simple. And we all know high turnover in sales is incredibly expensive. Recruiting, training, it costs a fortune. Reducing that is a huge saving. One Takanaga probably wishes she had banked earlier.
Absolutely. Those 6 benefits really prove territory design isn't just some academic exercise. It's a core profit driver, or it should be. But getting that balance right, equal potential, equal workload, sounds tricky. So let's dig into the mechanics. How do you actually go about building these zones?
Well, the ideal goal, like you said, is that perfect balance. Equal potential, equal workload. We admit it's usually unattainable in reality, but that's the target you aim for. To start, you need to pick your control units. These are the geographical building blocks you'll use.
The sources mention the common ones and their issues. Like, states are simple, right? But customers cross state lines all the time. Think about, I don't know, the St. Louis metro area straddling Missouri and Illinois.
Exactly. States are too blunt usually. Counties are better, more granular data is often available, but they can still be massive and uneven. Think about Los Angeles County, huge, incredibly diverse.
So what works best then?
Often the most valuable units are metropolitan statistical areas, or MSAs. These are defined by the federal government based on being economically and socially integrated. They might be geographically small, but get this. They account for something like 75 to 80% of the entire U.S. population in buying income. Huge concentration.
Wow. So if you're selling, say, high-value industrial equipment or anything focused on urban markets, ignoring MSAs is just leaving money on the table. Big time.
Absolutely. So once you've got your building blocks, MSAs, counties, zip codes, whatever fits, you generally apply one of 2 main methods. It depends on your product, your distribution strategy. Let's start with the buildup method.
Okay, buildup. The sources say this focuses on the salesperson's workload, the time and effort involved.
Yeah.
And it's good for consumer products needing intensive distribution, right? Lots of stops.
Precisely. It's quite meticulous. First, management figures out the optimal call frequency for different customer types. You know, maybe your Class A big accounts need a visit twice a month, but your smaller Class C accounts only need seeing every other month. Then you calculate the rep's capacity. How many calls can they realistically make per day times the number of selling days in the year?
So say a rep can handle maybe 1,500 calls a year.
Right. Then you start combining your small geographical control units, maybe it's zip codes, maybe counties, adding them together, until the total number of required calls in that combined area hits that 1,500 target. You're essentially building territories with equal work.
Got it. Equal workload. Now, contrast that with the other approach.
That's the breakdown method. This one flips it and focuses on sales potential. It's more popular for companies selling, say, industrial goods, or maybe those aiming for more selective distribution, focusing on high-value clients.
Okay, so breakdown starts big picture. You forecast the total market sales potential first.
Yes. Then you allocate that potential down to your chosen control units, maybe counties or MSAs again. The next critical step is deciding the minimum sales volume you expect from each salesperson to be profitable, or maybe a target volume.
For instance, management might figure out a rep needs to sell, I don't know, $150,000 just to cover their costs and make a small profit. Or maybe they set the expected target higher, like $300,000.
Exactly. Once you have that number, you divide the whole market, slicing it up based on hitting that sales potential figure in each territory. You're trying to create territories with equal potential.
Makes sense. Build-up focuses on work, breakdown focuses on potential. But, markets change constantly. Customers move, new businesses pop up, competitors shift. So these territories can't just be set in stone, right? There must be constant pressure to adjust.
Huge pressure. The sources mention studies showing that at any given time, something like 55% of territories probably need realignment. They become too large or too small. That's why executives really should be reviewing them at least once a year.
55%. That's staggering. So more than half are likely suboptimal.
And not adjusting leads to real problems that just erode everything you've built. The first danger is what's called skimming the market. If a territory's potential explodes, maybe a new industry moves in, but the territory size stays the same, the rep often stops covering it deeply. They just skim the easy sales off the top.
And the numbers can look good for the rep, but bad for the company.
Right. Exactly. The rep's personal sales might go up, say, 100% over a few years. Looks great. But if the total market potential in that territory actually grew by 300%, the company is actually losing market share hand over fist. They're missing out on 2/3 of the potential growth. That's revenue Takanaga's company probably wishes they hadn't left behind.
Ouch. Okay, what's another danger?
A structural weakness. Overlapping territories. This often happens because management tries to avoid conflict when they do split a territory. Maybe they let the original senior rep keep their preferred accounts, even though they now fall geographically in the new rep zone. Sounds nice, but...
Uh-oh, I can see where this is going.
Yeah.
It leads directly into conflict, doesn't it? Like claim jumping. The Majestic Plastics case study in the sources was brutal. This rep, James Wiggins, had his territory split. Lucille Cole gets hired for the new part, working purely on commission. But Wiggins kept servicing his old big accounts in Cole's new territory. His excuse was, oh, the customers called me directly.
Yeah, that's not just bad form. It's basically predatory behavior in a sales context. For Cole on straight commission, Wiggins was literally taking money out of her pocket, stealing her potential earnings. That's a massive blow to morale for the new rep. Makes them want to quit, drives up turnover. It's just toxic.
Absolutely toxic. So that morale piece during any realignment is just critical because reps whose territories get smaller, even if it's for good reasons, they immediately think management is trying to cap their earnings, right?
It's a natural fear, so management has to handle it carefully. Get input from the reps themselves during the process. Assure them the new boundaries are fair. And crucially, especially for commission reps like Cole, provide transitional funding. That might mean guaranteeing their previous income level for, say, 6 months. Gives them breathing room while they build up their pipeline in the new, maybe smaller or different territory.
That seems essential for trust. Okay, so territories are designed, maybe realigned with care. What's next? You can't just point reps at the map, right?
No, the next layer is managing the coverage. Time management, essentially. How do reps work the territory efficiently? This involves routing and scheduling.
Routing. Management telling reps which way to drive.
Basically, yeah. Establishing a formal pattern. Could be a circle, a straight line through the territory, maybe a hopscotch pattern hitting key areas. There's definitely a case for management doing the routing.
What's the argument for it?
Well, the big one is reducing travel time. Sources suggest reps can spend up to 1/3 of their day just driving. Optimized routes cut that down significantly. Plus, it ensures reps cover the whole territory thoroughly, not just cherry-picking the easy or pleasant accounts, area A, and avoiding the tougher areas, area B, where potential might still be high.
Makes sense from an efficiency standpoint. But I bet reps don't always love it.
That's the trade-off. There's a strong case against rigid management routing, too. It can stifle initiative. It's often too inflexible for rapidly changing market conditions on the ground. And frankly, high-performing, experienced reps often really resent being told exactly where to go by someone sitting in an office.
Yeah, that tension between central control and field autonomy, it's classic. Which is probably why technology has become so important here, right? As a sort of middle ground.
Exactly. Tech offers ways to optimize without the heavy hand of mandated routes. Modern sales management relies a lot on these tools.
What kind of tech are we talking about?
Well, first up is GIS, Geographic Information Systems. This is sophisticated software. It can analyze and, crucially, display multiple layers of data on a map. Think customer locations, sales potential shown as a heat map, required call frequencies all layered together. Companies like Budget Rent a Car used it not just to set boundaries, but to help reps visualize why the optimized territory makes sense.
Seeing's believing, I guess. What else?
Then you've got GPS, Global Positioning Systems. Obviously, this helps reps navigate, find the fastest routes between calls. That's a direct time saver. But managers can also use aggregated, anonymized GPS data, not tracking individuals minute by minute usually, but looking at the team's overall patterns. Are they covering territories efficiently? Are there logistical bottlenecks? It helps spot structural issues.
Okay, so GIS for planning, GPS for navigation and analysis. What about day-to-day stuff?
That's where general computerized support comes, and laptops, tablets, CRM software. This stuff saves reps hours of admin time. They can file call reports instantly, enter orders directly into the system, check inventory in real time. All those saved minutes add up to more actual selling time, and that's the ultimate goal.
Which brings us right back around to Takanaga and her $12 million crisis. The core lesson here seems really clear, doesn't it? Things like constant micromanagement, like rigid routing, or just perpetual crisis management, like those emergency cuts. A lot of that can be minimized if the organization actually invests upfront in strategic planning, specifically good territory design.
Absolutely. When territories are efficient, when they're balanced, when they're reviewed regularly, the whole organization just runs better. You get higher productivity, you have structurally lower costs baked in, and morale is significantly better. That upfront planning helps prevent those sudden, awful moments where a manager is forced into choosing between layoffs and pay cuts.
So we talked earlier about how sometimes territories might be intentionally unequal, maybe to help new reps learn or to match different skill levels. This brings up a really fascinating, maybe uncomfortable question that the source material touches on. It pits fairness against optimization. Think about this. When you're creating or realigning territories, is it discriminatory or is it actually a valid management strategy to consider a salesperson's individual background, maybe their ethnicity, when assigning them to a territory with a specific customer demographic?
Hmm, that's a complex one. Balancing equity for all employees versus trying to achieve the absolute maximum targeted effectiveness in the market.
Definitely something for you to chew on as you think about your own organization's structure and strategies. That's all for this deep dive. We'll see you next time.